Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Ryan, what's up? If you're in the chat, say hello. We've got some NFL playoffs have finally arrived. Wildcard weekend. We've got 2 games today, 3 games tomorrow, 1 game on Monday. We have an actually nice 6-game DFS slate that they actually gave contests for. It's been hit or miss in the past. Sometimes they really neglect that full slate and they just kind of focus on the individual days slate. They did not do that this year. We actually have contests for the full slate, and then we could play the solo day slates as well. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about bets, touchdown picks, all that stuff. Ryan, you said Reed for King of the End Zone. I do like Jaden Reed today, so you will not get any pushback from me there. It doesn't look like the weather is going to be as bad as we thought. There's still some decent chance for like winds and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't look like it's going to be quite as bad. All right, let's get in. So I'll be streaming tomorrow at 11 too. So we'll focus mostly on the games today when we're talking bets, but for DFS, we'll talk the full slate. And then tomorrow we'll talk about the 3-game slate. So looking at projections wise for quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence are far and away the 2 highest owned quarterbacks that I see. That's not shocking considering it's a pretty good game in terms of the total. All these games actually are pretty fine totals minus the Monday night game. But we're getting 44 to 45.5 on all these games. And then the Buffalo-Jacksonville game, 51.5 total. Best weather on the slate. There's no weather concerns whatsoever. Should be warm. So it's not shocking that is where the majority of the attention is going at the quarterback position. After those 2, you have Hurts, May, Love, Stroud in that order. But everybody else is pretty much going to be, single-digit ownership percentages minus maybe Jalen Hurts outside of Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence. I expect those to be far and away the highest owned options. I like both of those guys at the top. I talked about it on stream earlier this week, but I kind of like the idea of playing Josh Allen by himself and then getting a couple Jaguars guys on the opposite side. If I were to stack Josh Allen, I think it would be with Dalton Kincaid, his tight end, and I would probably skip over the Buffalo receivers. So if you want to stack up Josh Allen, I like Kincaid. I also like playing Josh Allen by himself. If you're playing Trevor Lawrence, that opens up the question a little bit more because I do like all of his receiving options. Obviously, Parker Washington has really come on in recent weeks. You have Jacoby Myers there who plays a valuable PPR role. And then you still have Brian Thomas Jr. So I'm pretty interested in Brian Thomas Jr. tomorrow. I know he has been a disappointment this season, but if we look at his game log, specifically at home, a lot of his good games do come at home. So if we look at like his best games this season, yardage wise, he hasn't hit 100 yards all season, which is just insane to say that out loud. Like Brian Thomas Jr. has not hit 100 yards in a game this season, but his highest yardage totals, 87 was home against the Colts, 80 was home against the Chiefs, 90 home against the Seahawks. We also took him against the Jets. We had him laddered up to 100, and then we also had the touchdown and the 2 touchdowns. He went 4 for 66 and a touchdown against the Jets. That was a home game. So he seems to play pretty well at home. And he just feels due, like they've tried to get him a long touchdown recently, and it just hasn't worked out. Like I do still think there's potential for that. Only 2 touchdowns on the season. Both of his touchdowns this season came at home. I like Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit. He's cheap on DK. He's down at like 47. He's going to be the lowest owned of any of the Jaguars receivers. Like Myers at 55, Washington at 5K. both those guys are going to be pretty popular. So, you can double down on Lawrence and do a double stack, or if you want to do a single stack, just unique with him, you could. If you want to do Josh Allen with Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side, you could do that also. But I am interested in BTJ. I'm probably going to bet him for a touchdown tomorrow, like when we get there. But just food for thought. I do think he is interesting. I don't hate it, Ryan, but I'd probably. I don't know if you need that much value, to be honest. Like, he is, what's his price? Where is he? 3,500. Like, I don't know if I need someone that cheap. Like, just, I haven't finalized my teams or anything, but from me building, I didn't need to go that cheap at receiver. So, I mean, I don't hate it if you're playing like really large field contests, but I would think it's probably too thin on a 6-game slate. I just don't know if you need that cheap of a player. But if I was going to go below 4K, he would probably be my pick. I don't see anyone else below 4K that looks very interesting. The problem is you have Reed at 4K, right? Like, it's a really good play. That's 500 more. But after that, Dotson, Kyle Williams, Golden, Thielen, Pop Douglas. Yeah, like, I guess DeMarcus Robinson maybe at 33. But yeah, if I was going below 4K, Cooks is fine, but it's probably too thin for me. Yeah, you could do 2 Jags receivers, or you could do ETN and a Jags receiver. I think ETN is going to come in pretty low owned. So we'll talk about that when we get to running back, but I do think he's interesting. But sticking with quarterback, obviously Allen and Lawrence are my favorite plays too. If you want to play outside of them, I'd probably pick Hurts. Just, we talked about that on stream this week too. It's just like, will he run more? I don't know. There's a chance he runs more, and then, you would feel really good about playing him at low ownership, but it's kind of an unknown. Like, it's been a couple months of him not running. Do they break that out in the playoffs? Potentially. So I would probably go Hurts if I was picking someone other than those two. If you want someone other than Hurts and those two, it would probably be Jordan Love tonight would be my pick there. So that's probably my player pool, to be honest. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Love. If you're playing the Saturday only slate, Jordan Love is probably my favorite play, just looking at like the price. So you have Stafford at 6,900 there, but I don't know. It's like on the full slate, I can't advocate for playing Stafford over Josh Allen when it's $100 difference. And then it's a big price gap on the Saturday only slate too. So that's why I probably would lean Love. And I also like Kyron today. The Panthers run defense has been suspect at times. I don't know what will happen between the split of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. I do have a theory that, and I like Blake Corum. I like Blake Corum coming out of college. A lot of people were kind of discounting him. I thought he was a legitimate NFL running back coming out. But there is like a chance that they used him more to save Kyron Williams for the playoffs. Like, we've seen Sean McVay countless times when these games get tight that he just leans more heavily on Kyron. So I think that there's a greater chance of that happening. So I think Kyron is interesting at running back, and that would lead more into playing Jordan Love too. Jonathan, you said you like the Bears money line tonight. Good luck to you. We are on opposite sides of that one, but it's definitely going to be a close game. So I wish you luck there. First time making the stream, excited for you to join. So we're talking a little daily fantasy options at all positions, bets, obviously, touchdown picks, all that good stuff. So yeah, quarterback, Allen, Lawrence, Jordan Love, and Jalen Hurts. That's probably going to be my player pool. At running back, so like I just said, I think there's a good chance ETN comes in pretty low owned, which is going to make me interested in him. So that's why I would be interested in using the Allen with ETN on the opposite side. because we have, in terms of ownership projection, Josh Jacobs at the top, McCaffrey, Barkley, Cook, Kyren. All 5 of those guys are projected for higher ownership than ETN. And all of these guys outside of McCaffrey are in pretty similar price ranges. Yeah, I think you can. I don't think that's bad, Ryan. I think that's fine. All these guys are in similar price ranges. Jacobs at 63, right? So like Josh Jacobs is cheaper than Travis Etienne. Everybody's going to play Josh Jacobs over him. Barkley's right there at 7K. James Cook's at 74. Kyren is cheaper than Travis Etienne. So I just don't see a world where we get a big ownership number on Travis Etienne. And given that this is the best total on the slate, the Jags have actually flipped to being favorites in most spots. We've seen, there's been times throughout his Jaguars career, Travis Etienne, that he just has been lost as a pass catcher, which was one of his strengths coming out of Clemson. He has been back to like that good receiving role that we want to see from him over the last, basically since Thanksgiving. If we isolate since then, if we look at the earlier part of the season, 3 catches for 13, 2 for 18, 0, 1 for 1, 3 for 9, 1 for 11, really was not used as a pass catcher whatsoever early on in the season. And you have to remember that's still a new offense in that time. That's Liam Cohen coming over. They're really learning. And Trevor Lawrence was not playing good during that stretch of games either. But once we saw Trevor Lawrence kind of flip and turn it on, 3 for 30. There's a 3 for 73, 3 receiving touchdown game in there. There's another receiving touchdown against Denver. He had a receiving touchdown. So he does have a little bit of a receiving role, but just overall, best total of the game, home team, their favorite in the game now. I like ETN as a DFS play. One of my favorites, I would say, on the slate. Him and Jacobs are probably my 2 favorites. I'd put Barkley right there also, and then you have Kyren. Like I said, Kyren probably more of a Saturday-only slate for me. I did bet him first touchdown if you guys saw the tweet I put out earlier, but I'm going to take him for first touchdown. I don't typically do the lowest odds chalk first touchdown pick, but I'm kind of hedging my DFS stuff by doing that. Yeah, so Kyren, probably a better Saturday-only slate for me. I kind of want to play Jacobs, Barkley, ETN on the 6-game slate if I can make that fit. If not, I would drop Barkley to Kyren for, what is that, 600 less? I don't know. I'll have to play around with it. I want to try and play 3 running backs, but I don't know if it's possible. I haven't finalized my builds. Might be another 2 tight end slate. I'll take a look. But we do have some decent cheap receivers. But that pool of 6 guys, Jacobs, McCaffrey, Barkley, Cook, Kyren, ETN, that's probably the pool for me. If you want to include Kenneth Gainwell, I think you could. That's probably it. The Chicago guys, Swift is right there. You could use him also. But I'm only going to play a couple teams, so I just don't see myself getting down to these Dowdles, Trevion Henderson with Stevenson back, Hampton, Warren. I just don't see myself playing any of those guys. And I'd rather focus on the value at receiver than I would at running back. So we'll switch over to receiver then. If we're looking at ownership projections, Puka at 87 is at the top here, but every other basically high-owned projected receiver is below 5K. Christian Watson, Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers is at 5.5, Devonta Smith's at 5.9, Shakir's below 5K, Jaden Reed's 4K, Luther Burden's below 5K, Brian Thomas Jr. I like, who I said earlier. We have a lot of 5K and under receivers, so I can see myself building kind of through that tier and then focusing on the higher priced running backs. If you're going up at receiver, it's obvious Puka's the top option. Outside of him, I'd probably go Puka, AJ Brown, Diggs, I guess, would be my top 3. I'd rather play those guys than Nico. And I'd rather I know Devontae Adams is way cheaper than Puka, big gap. 2,000 in salary gap, but I'd still just rather play Puka. Devontae Adams has really been like a touchdown or bust guy this season, and he really isn't. He hasn't even had like huge fantasy games, even when he has scored touchdowns. Like that's really the only thing that he's done. So I think Puka is obviously just the much better DFS play. But yeah, I like Christian Watson and Jane Reed on the Packers. I would prefer Reed just because he's 900 cheaper, but I like both those guys. I like the Eagles guys. I like the Jags guys, particularly Brian Thomas Jr. And I know Odunze is coming back, but I still think Burden is fine at 46. I think that, there's room for all three of those receivers to play. Like they'll just play Burden in the slot and DJ Moore and Odunze on the outside. So, Ryan, I don't think that's bad, to be honest. Like I don't really like the Sunday night game, to be honest with you. It's a 45.5 total, which is fine. I think the Chargers are live there. I took them 3.5 to cover. I don't know. I just don't have like anything that really sticks out there. Like the Patriots offense, it's been a completely guessing game with their receivers. And then the running back situation gets complicated with Stevenson back. Like you just don't feel confident in playing anyone there. And then on the Chargers side, I don't know. Like, I guess you could talk me into Hampton or McConkey, but that'd probably be like the picks for me. Like nobody really sticks out in that game. And then the Monday night game at such a low total, 38.5. Like I can't advocate for playing anybody in that when every other total is a touchdown or more higher. So I don't think there's a problem with skipping those games from a player perspective. Tay is also old, coming off a hamstring injury. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played in a few weeks, so we don't really know what we'll get from him first game back. He should be good to go, though. Like, I would have to imagine he probably could have played last week if he needed to. But, yeah. All right, tight end-wise, in ownership, it's Kincaid, Loveland, Goddard, Kittle, Henry, Schultz in that order. I like Kincaid if you're playing Josh Allen. I like Goddard, obviously, looks really good to me against the Niners. I'm probably going to be on Goddard props if I had to imagine. And then I like Dalton Schultz at 4K. Dalton Schultz is probably my favorite play in that Monday night game. So if I was going to play anyone from that game, it would probably be Schultz, unless you did something where you tried to get Gainwell in. But I'm not going to play enough teams to probably get to Gainwell. So Schultz is probably the most likely player from that game to crack my lineup outside of like a defense. But Kincaid and Goddard are probably my favorite tight ends. If you're playing Trevor Lawrence, you could use Strange. Yeah, if you're playing Trevor Lawrence, you could use Strange for sure. I don't have a problem with him. But for a one-off, I'd rather one-off a Jags receiver than I would Brenton Strange. I would rather one-off Kincaid or Goddard if I was doing a one-off at tight end, I think. And then defense-wise, I mean, Eagles are projected for the highest down. They're 2,900. That looks pretty good to me, especially if they get Jalen Carter back. I'd feel a little bit more confident in that. Chargers at 22 is fine, even though they're a road team. That's really cheap. And then Steelers at 26 is fine. So those are the three highest owned projected defenses, and I would be fine playing any of them all below 3K. So it's probably just Eagles, Steelers, Chargers for me in that order. Overall, though, stacking-wise, I'm going to play a Josh Allen and Kincaid team with probably two Jags on the opposite side. I'm going to play a Trevor Lawrence stack with probably James Cook on the opposite side, so that'll kind of help out hedge the Josh Allen stuff. That's probably my two favorites. And then, like I said, if you want to do a Hurts or a Love, you can. But how I'll do it is I might do the Josh Allen and the Lawrence teams on the full slate. And then on the Sunday only slate, I'll do a Hurts. And then on the Saturday only slate, I'll do a Jordan Love. That's probably how I'm breaking that down right now. As far as betting goes, I did take the Rams minus 10.5 in this one. I know there's great systems on home underdogs in the playoffs. There's great systems on double-digit spreads in the playoffs. I fully understand. I just don't think. Do you think Pearsall plays? I do not think he will play. That's why I think Robinson is fine for 3,300. That's a good cheap play. I don't think Pearsall will play. I just think the Rams are just this is a massive gap between them and the Panthers. I know the Panthers beat them a month or two ago whenever they played previously, but I don't care. Playoffs are a different situation. This is also Bryce Young's first playoff start, and that does matter to me also. So any of those, like any trend, this is why I don't do trends a lot, because any trend you can find that would fit a home underdog in the playoffs, you can also find a trend of, young quarterbacks against experienced quarterbacks in the playoffs. So I did take the Rams minus 10.5. Have Kyron Williams first touchdown in the first touchdown parlay, but I really don't like anything else in this game. Like the Rams touchdown odds are just nuked so heavy. Like Adams, Kyron, and Puka all are, below even odds for a touchdown. So I just can't advocate taking that. And then on the Panthers side, I don't know. You could take a shot on one of their tight ends. Like they've been playing a bunch of tight ends. So if you want to look at Tremble or Mitchell Evans, you could. But I mean, that's just pretty thin. I'm probably just avoiding everything as a whole there. But I did take Rams minus 10.5. In the night game, I am on Packers money line. I've debated this game all week. I think the Packers are just a better team at the end of the day. The Bears, I've talked about it all season. Like they've ran super hot with turnovers. They've ran super hot with one-score games. They've ran super hot. Like it's one thing to run hot with turnovers. It's one thing to run hot in one-score games. They've done both, and I just don't think it's sustainable. It's also Caleb Williams' first kind of big playoff game going against Jordan Love, who has some experience in the playoffs. Jordan Love's won playoff games before. So that's the deciding factor for me. I do think it will be a close game, so I understand people taking the Bears, especially with how banged up, the Packers defense has been. Like no Micah is so big, and they're missing some other guys as well, but they're also getting some guys back, specifically the receiver room, is pretty healthy. So I don't know. I'm really bummed because I was super high on this Packers team, and I thought they had a real chance to win the Super Bowl, but the injuries have just mounted up. But I am taking the Packers to win this game. If you're looking for a touchdown, I took Josh Jacobs with Kyron in the first touchdown parlay that I posted. But if I was picking another Packers guy, it would be Jaden Reed. You're just getting the best odds on him as opposed to Watson and Romeo Doubs. You're getting plus 250 on him. He feels due. He hasn't scored since he came back from injury. He's been close a couple times. He can mix in. We haven't seen it, but we could see him mix in for like a carry, like a little end around or something, especially if it does end up snowing and it's hard to tackle, that would help him as well. Now, I do think the Bears will get Kyler Gordon back tonight, which he'll probably be lined up opposite Reed a lot. And I do think Kyler Gordon's good, but I'll take the value with the Packers guys with no wicks and stuff. Like it should be pretty isolated between Watson, Dobbs, and Jaden Reed. So I do like Jaden Reed to score a touchdown in addition to Josh Jacobs, and I like Packers to win the game. We will talk further tomorrow on the games tomorrow and Monday and stuff. So I won't give out like touchdown picks for those games until tomorrow. I might tweet out some more stuff later. I might tweet out a little lineup or something that I build just to have some fun for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in all season. I really appreciate it. We've had such good viewership numbers for the whole season. It's pretty crazy. So I really appreciate you guys. Make sure you do your due diligence. Good luck in the DFS streets today and the betting. And I will be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. It'll probably be a longer stream because we have more games to talk about, but we'll talk about the 3 games tomorrow, DFS and betting at 11 a.m. Good luck today, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.